Have you noticed that we live in a play of the world where there's a strong emphasis upon making others wrong to make the me right? Mm. Some kind of belief that we even need to be right. Some deep-rooted, insecure idea that we need to be right. And obviously born out of a very deeply, even deeper held belief that something is wrong with me, that there's something wrong with me, with this life, with the way things are. And there's so many nuances and subtleties that surround this deep sense that there's something wrong, that then propels a lived experience which can be so much about trying to prove that I am right. And we then see that in the macro, and we see it in the micro. And that ultimately, as long as there's any sense of needing to be right, needing to belong to the ones that are right, the ones that I think are right anyway, right? Finding myself in the right place, connected to the right people, doing the right thing. It's just got to feel right, right? We're kind of allergic to that feeling of wrong. But what if the whole feeling of wrong is not actually wrong in the way that we define wrong, but is a frequency of discordance, a deeply held belief, which is essentially that I am divided from what is good. I'm divided from what is right, what is whole, what is true, what love is. And so that deep-rooted sense of something wrong that's looking for a way to be right, to prove itself, actually is really an incredibly wise invitation from the intelligence to bridge a seeming divide in our lived experience, in our heart, and of course in the mind, to bridge living from belief into living from the heart that is all-inclusive, the heart that is an infinite, unbounded heart, and a heart that is naturally wide openness, and that ultimately all of the sense of wrong is really just asking to be included, not as a way of taking a side, but of completely dissolving sides, coalescing, opening to the field of heart, intelligence that is natural coherence, instead of living from this protective strategy of the mind, which deeply believes there is something wrong with me or life or others, and is looking to find a way to make myself right, to put it right, to do it right, get it right. to feel all right. And that ultimately we also then invite in the sense of how we believe that happiness is dependent on getting it right, feeling right, that happiness is dependent upon circumstance, dependent upon things and experiences and getting it right. And yet, what if happiness is just our simple, true nature? And in a way, the way that we can test this is by recognizing that when we are just resting, when we are just in the sense of presence here now, when we're not making a relationship with the content of experience, we could say. So when we're not making a relationship with the belief, with the story, with the concepts, and we're just without relationship to content or experience, that when we are just resting, there's a natural happiness, we could say in simplicity, an okayness, a contentment. We don't have to kind of try to push that sense of contentment or true happiness to be even an experience which is kind of like a high, because we can also have an idea that happiness has to be a high, so that the low is wrong and happiness has to be a high. So again, we come to see this subtle play of opposites that can be dancing in our lived experience, where we're trying to get away from what feels like the low to try to find the high, try to find what's right, get away from what's wrong, get away for sure from the pain and the suffering and anything that feels uncomfortable, trying to get towards. And there's nothing wrong, of course. There's nothing wrong with wanting to get away from what feels uncomfortable and get towards what feels more comfortable, or the high or the happiness. Of course there's not. But what's really important is that we realize that as long as we're looking for that, if we're looking to get away into another experience that is temporary, that another temporary experience is going to cycle back to that dance, that play of opposites, the play of cause and effect. And ultimately, if we recognize that what we're actually really longing for is the permanent happiness, we're looking for causeless happiness. We're looking for happiness that doesn't disappear, a happiness that doesn't change. Just as we're looking for a love that doesn't leave, right? We're looking for a love that is without condition. We're looking for a wholeness that doesn't break. We're looking for an integrity that is honest and true and all the way through, that doesn't waver. And yet, if we're looking for any of these things that our heart is naturally longing for in the play of the world that is temporary, protective, conditioned, and in essence limited in its capacity to deliver anything other than its own frequency, which essentially, if that is a frequency field, the collective frequency field is a field of separation, division, limitation, fear, then if we look within that frequency field for something more high resonance, we're going to be disappointed always. And then we find that our disappointment becomes actually kind of part of the game, because then disappointment becomes part of that play, trying to get away from the disappointment and find something, someone, an experience, a life that's not disappointing. So in a way, we could say that that longing of the heart can create certain ideals. And when we're looking for those ideals in a play of life and the world that is created out of limited frequencies, where the overarching frequency is a belief in separation from love, from the glory, from God. The belief is that there is division and that there's power imbalance and disharmony. And we see that playing out on the surface of life in the macro. And what we see playing out is also playing in the micro. All of the themes are playing in the micro. Because these are the themes of the human experience. And we all share them to some degree or another. And in a way, when we're not trying to get away from, but we're coming to discover how to unify our lived experience, how to bring ourselves naturally and simply to a frequency of happiness that is causeless, that is not dependent upon experience or things, or getting it right, or proving myself. Because it's so exhausting to be constantly trying, efforting, right? And of course, when we feel like we've arrived at a certain kind of happiness or an experience that feels good, then we can plateau into a sense of like, oh, okay, this is good now. And what we can find in those situations is that the ego relaxes, the protection relaxes, and then we also kind of maybe step away from asking the big questions and really resting in in presence, and we kind of plateau into a place where we're like, oh well, everything's okay, everything's okay now. This is good. I'm happy now. And of course, there can be a deep undercurrent of anxiety, kind of waiting for the next hit to come in, the next disappointment to come in, and yet in that kind of protective, that relaxation of the ego sense, that relaxation of protection, of course we are connected to a sense of ease, a sense of smoothness. And yet, for sure, the cycle is going to bring around another disappointment, another low, another something to call us in, right? So life is constantly trying to call us in, using the intelligence of life to invite us not to settle for the temporary, not to settle for the transient, not to settle for a play of experience and a play of opposites, but to actually invite us to truly discover what it is to live, not resting in a frequency of fear. What is it to live where we can face the fear and the discontent and the discordance, where we can face that, and in the facing of that we can meet it, and we can invite something more timeless, eternal, boundless, infinite, natural even, that we discover the natural happiness, the natural okayness, the natural truth of who we are. That we discover that what we are actually truly longing for, and that no one is imposing upon us, but what we are actually longing for is to discover a kind of settling into a happiness that is causeless, a sense of a love that is without condition, an openness that we know doesn't ever really close. And this isn't about creating a kind of mythic experience where there's never any kind of waves. It's about realizing that whatever waves come, that the ocean is never disturbed, right? It's about realizing that whatever waves come in, whatever weather patterns come in, the ocean is not disturbed. The sun shining is never disturbed by whatever weather patterns, so that we come to realize that whatever moves through the life, whatever happens in the play of experience, that the deep-rooted happiness, okayness, contentment, like truth of who we are, is never ever really disturbed. And that this is the living reality. And that more that we nourish our deep intuitive knowing of this living reality, we naturally kind of upgrade our life. We naturally upgrade our lived experience. And we start to be able to hold fear and discontent and the feeling of wrong in a frequency that says, it's okay, I've got you. You're safe. You're okay. You can feel that. You can feel the fear. You can feel the discontent. So we're never speaking of this in a way that's making wrong, of course, any of the feelings or experiences that we have. We're not speaking about getting away from. We're speaking about just being really real with what we're longing for and what we're aiming for and what we're kind of trying to get to in the life. And we're offering a way of seeing and opening the intelligence of our landscape of consciousness and our heart to see clearly that if we're looking for wholeness in limitation, we're going to be disappointed. If we're looking for love without conditions in limitation, of course we're going to feel disappointed. If we're looking for safety in a world that's moving and changing, which is a reflection of the unconscious, of course we're going to feel unsafe. Of course we're going to feel fear. And so in a way, what life is inviting by bringing, let's say, experience and circumstance that feels challenging, by bringing the feelings that feel discordant and like there's something wrong, disappointment. It's not that there's a truth in that. It's that that is the holy invitation to say, okay, what if I don't buy into this? What if I don't make an allegiance with the story that my mind is telling me? What if I realize that, of course, if I'm in a frequency field of limitation, I'm only going to find limitation. So where, oh where, is the frequency that is unlimited? And Grace and Glory says, in presence, beloved, in presence. It's here now. Just rest. Stop seeking for it and just open to the knowing that you are it. Just be here. And as you are being here, beloved, don't try to push away any of your old friends that are in the field. Fear and hurts and sadness and despair and lack and limitation and shame and guilt. And welcome the hurt. Welcome the sadness. Welcome everything that is here. Because if you push those old friends away, you're pushing away parts of yourself. And you're confirming that deeply held belief that there's something wrong with me, and I need to get away from those parts that there's something wrong with. But here now, the invitation is to welcome it all. Let's all be here together. Let's allow a kind of coalescing to happen, where in the lived experience we divide and we limit and we fragment. Let it all be here. Just here now. No magic tricks. No techniques. Just a simple resting, a being here that says you can feel how you're feeling right now. And it's like sadness, disappointment says, oh, okay. I'm actually somewhere where I can feel that I'm safe, or I'm actually welcome. And the feelings, the sensations, the energies in the nervous system start to unwind because they're allowed to be here. There's no frequencies of resistance that are pushing. So there's this welcoming. And we're not looking for a happiness that is a high. We're looking for a kind of peace, a settling, an acceptance, a natural allowing. And when everything that is here in our field in the moment is allowed to be here, and the energy and the sensations of our landscape are welcome, yes, we feel it. We feel the energies. We feel it. And yet if it's allowed to move, it starts to transmute itself and settle itself out, and it starts to coalesce because it feels safe, because it finds a belonging. It finds a frequency field that is not dividing, is not looking to get it right, being told it's wrong. It's not moving in these conditioned ways of limitation and division that have been learned. But these places find a frequency field that truly is resonating in this technology of love that says, welcome. You can be here. And there's an unwinding and a settling that starts to happen. And a sense of true belonging and a sense of true safety that's not looking to trust someone or something, but is discovering what we could say is like a natural innate trust. And that natural innate trust is a sense of being, a sense of allowing, a sense of natural acceptance. We could say it's a frequency of righteousness, which is like a sense that everything is okay, everything is allowed. Not a right as an opposite to wrong, but that whatever is here, whatever is happening, is allowed to be here. And so we start then to open to the landscape of experience. We start to open to the nervous system, the feeling field. We start to open to the landscape of our consciousness. We start to open to the mind consciousness, the body consciousness, feeling the sensation, the tension, the charge, the trigger, the emotions. We start to be able to feel everything that is here at a frequency that says, welcome. You're okay. That says in the silence, there's nothing wrong with you, beloved. Just stop trying to fix yourself. Stop making a problem of yourself. And just rest. Just curl up here in the lap of a frequency that welcomes all of you. And so there can be a true resting, which settles out the frequencies in our field of fight, of conflict, of battle, of trying, of protection, of fear, of the guilt and the shame. It naturally settles out these frequencies. And it may not feel like it all gets settled out all in the same moment. Of course, there's a natural unraveling that is happening. And yet just here now, just to feel the settling, the resting, the quietening. And the mind might say things like, well, that isn't a solution to the problem that I'm dealing with. And I need to know how to blah, blah, blah. But essentially, the how to blah, blah, blah comes out of the intelligence when we are truly resting. Because all of the ways that we think that we need to solve life, it's all a dance. And if we can see this, it's all a dance of trying to get it right, trying to work it out, trying to find ourselves in the right place, the right situation, trying to find ourselves feeling good, feeling comfortable, right? But when we recognize that putting all of our attention towards the play, trying to change the story, trying to understand it, trying to get it right, if all of our attention and energy is going towards trying to solve a problem that actually doesn't need to be fixed, that actually are just energies that are asking to be loved and included, what if we can just love and include those energies? So this is why we speak of just, instead of trying to solve, open to the presence field, open to the field of love. Be immersed in a frequency field of love and natural care and holding that starts to infuse your nervous system with a remembrance, a resonant remembrance of the love that you are, so that your cells, the atoms, the fibers of your being start to be illuminated and ignited in the remembrance of being love, of being open, of being whole, of already being awake, right? Being awake. There's a great myth in the play of our world that we are not awake and that we need to awaken. And yet the truth is that the awake field is awake. We are awake. And yet in our lived experience, we have been conditioned to believe that there's something wrong with us and that we need to work for the solution. We need to work. And in a way, there can be many ways that we can believe that we are like at a level of sin that will never be forgiven and that will never actually get to God, will never actually get to love, right? And yet if we start to open to the possibility that we're holding beliefs, and let's say as we open to this possibility, we have to be really opening from a place that is resting, like where we can feel the presence, because we need the direct experience of the awake field as a ground of being from which we can explore the beliefs that we have. And in a way, the awake field is a is a naturalness, a naturalness that says everything is okay, just being, just here. Here's the safety. Actually, here's the protection. Here's everything. The welcome, the inclusivity. And in the resting here, we can then look upon the things that we believe, the ways that we're trying to get it right, the ways that we are making ourselves wrong, the ways that we feel like we have to prove ourselves, the ways that we are disappointed with ourselves, critical of ourselves, judgmental. And of course, we extend that generously to others in the world, right? So there's nothing wrong with the way that we are playing the game. And yet our hearts are longing for an upgrade. In a way, it's like a tricky fine line, because we're not making it wrong to be playing the game of trying to get it right. And yet we're opening the field to see that if we're playing within a limited set of rules, that we're playing a game that we're never going to win. And so do we want to really keep playing the game that way? Or are we open to receiving an intelligence that tells us, hey, just to let you know that you're playing a game you can't win, and the rules that you're playing by, you're creating for yourself to keep yourself limited in a game that you're never going to win, right? Hey, if you want to win, like, I can't offer you like to win the game, but I can offer you a feeling sense of fullness. I can offer you a feeling sense and an ability to see the game for what it is, an ability to look upon the game so that you maybe don't get so immersed in playing the game as someone that's trying to win the game, but you enter the game like a playground, like an adventure. You still play the game, but you're fearless and you're not trying to win it. You can just have fun in the game. And part of that is going to be that you're going to sometimes feel like everything is going your way, and sometimes challenging things are going to come in. But when you see from this big picture, you realize that whatever comes in, you have the capacity to hold it all. And really, all that's happening in the game isn't that you're trying to win it, but you're finding an equilibrium in the game, in the play. You're coming to realize that everything in the game is made from the same substance. And there's nothing against you, that you're not a victim in this game. And you're not a perpetrator in this game. That in this game of life, you are life, right? You've got this. You are life. You kind of are the game, right? You're the energy that's animating the game. In a way, in order to see through, not to create some kind of idealistic fantasy, but to be able to see the illusions, see the delusion, see the quirkiness, the funkiness, see the darkness surfacing and playing out. And not being capsized and not collaborating with fear, not letting fear be a wave that takes you out. But by being able to realize, okay, this is how it works here. Here comes fear. I welcome fear here in this present moment. And I dissolve fear, right? So we realize that we've used this analogy before, that if you put the mud into the glass, it gets muddy, right? If you're trying to solve it in your sense of limitation, you'll feel muddy. But if you put the mud into the ocean, then it coalesces, right? It just disappears into. And so this is what we are opening to, is to stop trying to kind of purify the water in the glass, but by opening to be the ocean, to open to be the infinite unbounded, discover where true happiness is, true contentment is, and to start to see this life as an adventure and be in awe and wonder, curiosity of all that is coming. And if we can dissolve the frequencies of trying to get it right, that's rooted in a deep sense that there's something wrong with me or I'm getting it wrong, which is the core sense of separation, of division, of limitation. And in a way, we're playing this game of life to realize that we are the awake field. We never have been a sinner. There is nothing wrong with you except what your mind believes about yourself, what we have taken on. And in a way, if we collaborate with the fear, the doubt, the shame, the guilt, the sense that there's something wrong with me that's prevalent in the collective, then we will perpetuate where we put our attention and what we think about. And so the invitation is to not even change our thoughts, but change the frequency of where we are broadcasting from and come to the field of presence where there's an openness that can welcome all of the discordant frequencies and naturally invite a mapping to and a repatterning, right? So when we open to the presence field, we're opening to the frequency of eternal God, love without condition, without bounds, the infinite boundless. And in this frequency, when we're just resting here, anything and everything that's in our field that's ready for transmutation, for surfacing out of the unconsciousness, will come and be mapped naturally by the intelligence to the light, through illumination and receptivity and welcoming. The unity of all will be naturally and intelligently revealed in our consciousness, in our nervous system, in our life. Multidimensionally will be activated and refined. So our consciousness is refining and we are being infused. We are absorbing love. We are absorbing frequencies of bliss, which is light, intelligence.